parts that come in the fog light assembly kit, we have our two fog lights right there, and then our left and right bumper covers, color matched to your whatever color you ordered. And then there's also the clips and bolts for installing the fog lights, and then some directions right there, pretty basic directions. And then there's also the turn signal switch, which I've already installed. Here are the tools we used for the install. Used the car scissor jack for getting a little better placement with the floor jack, and then we've got our jack stands and a couple pieces of 4x4 for our wheel chocks. The treble light came in handy for lighting underneath the car. And then for adjustment of the fog lights when you're finished, tape measure to measure the height of the fog lights, and then we used a laser level to get a nice straight line for adjusting the fog lights. Definitely not necessary, but came in handy. Razor knife for cutting the electrical tape on the fog light plug, and then a 10mm socket, small Phillips head screwdriver, a flathead, and another larger Phillips head, all for undoing clips and adjusting the fog lights. Okay, so once you're under the car, there are some clips and bolts that need to be undone. The first is right here, and the second clip is right there. This is right in front of your wheel well. And then your bolt is right there. So when you're taking out these clips, you're going to use a flathead screwdriver and pry this little top part up as far as you can. And that allows these prongs to contract, and then you can pop the clip on out. And this nut here, you can either use a 10mm socket or a screwdriver. Use a screwdriver, it's just a little easier. So once you get those two clips and that bolt out, you just take this here and pull it on down right here, and pull it on down like this, and that's going to give you access inside to your fog light. Up in there is where your fog light is. Once you have access to your fog light, the inside of your fog light cover, there are these push clips lining the cover, and so you're just going to go about, start on one end and push them in, and then work your way around. There's a couple more on the right side and then more on the top, and once you get all those pushed in, you can just work the fog light cover out and it should come right on out. On each side you've got two bolts and the fog lamp right here. That's the part number on the bolts. And so you're just going to slide this fog lamp into a housing that's already in the bumper, and then your two screws are going to go in right there. Okay, so when you're installing these, you want the fog light so that the clip is facing down, and when you install it, this writing here is the right side up. So we're going to go up here, just slides right in over these little clips, line her up, and then it's pretty snug. Just got to use a little pressure. Just go around all four of those clips and make sure it's in there correctly. We'll be good to go. Okay, so I just threaded those two bolts in by hand, and then I used the 10mm socket right here just for easier access than a screwdriver, and snugged them down. Don't want to go too tight, don't want to strip anything, but just a nice snug fit. Okay, and after you snug those two bolts down, you just got to connect the plug right here, which is sitting tied up right there by some blue electrical tape. So once you've got that electrical tape cut off, take the clip, and this cutout right here faces towards the fog light. Just line her up. You should hear a little click, and it's plugged in. Okay, so first, I highly recommend peeling the yellow tape off. It's a lot easier to get to before you put the cover on. But then once you got your cover, I would start in the back here, just kind of line it up in all the slots, and it should clip right in. Okay, we got the first fog light in. Go ahead and repeat the process on the left side. Should be the exact same. And so we'll go ahead and get that other one in. Okay, got both the fog lights in now, up and running. And so you're going to leave those two covers unclipped and unbolted. Lower the car back down, adjust the light, the two fog lights, and then we'll get those bolted back up. Okay, so here is how you adjust the fog light. See those two little gear prongs right in there? Just use a Phillips head screwdriver to turn those either up or down for your adjustment. So what this diagram is explaining here is that you want your car 3 meters from the wall, which is 118.11 inches. And then what I did was I measured the height to the top of my fog light, which was a little over 14.5 inches. And then I subtracted 6 centimeters from that, so right around 12.5 inches. And then I made a mark at 12.5 inches on the wall, and that's the height that I adjusted the fog lights to. So now we are adjusting the height of the fog light. So we've got the car backed up 3 meters from the wall, which is 118.11 inches. And then we measured the height of the fog light from the top of the light, and then 6 centimeters down from that, we put a laser level on the wall right here, and that's the height that we are going for our fog lights. So now we're going to turn them on and adjust them to the correct height. I haven't adjusted them yet, but here is what we're working with right after we installed them. Used a drop cloth to cover the headlights so that we didn't have any interference on the wall with our fog light beams. Once your fog light adjustment is completed, you just need to button everything up underneath. So with the covers, you want to start closest to the wheel and feed this up under your bumper. And then here as well, and just kind of work your way around. And there you go. And next you have your two clips, one here and one here, and your bolt underneath. Here's popping a clip back in right there. Boom, you're good to go. And the final bolt can be a little tricky, but a good landmark is this tow hook right here. If you put your finger on it and just kind of run it up, you're going to be able to feel your hole for your bolt right there. And then you can just use your fingers and thread it in there. And once you get it started, and once you have your screwdriver seated, just go ahead and snug her on up.